So this one mistake is something that I'd want to go back and correct.
Got it.
After studying so much, why is this guy, selling momos?
Right.
I would hire early, hire good people early, people at the top. So
Okay.
not blue collar workers. I'm talking about people who are. There are certain things I'm good at. There are certain things I'm not good at. So essentially, for things that I'm not good at, I need to get people who are smarter than me, who are better than me in doing those things. There's one disappointment with my parents that I wasn't a doctor.
Okay.
And then after diploma from ISB, I actually went on and started selling momos. So this was.
If you're planning to start something, go out there and start it. Don't think of MBA.
Yes. This is what I tell others as well.
Sure.
If you're planning to do something, just do it.
Got
Do it small, make mistakes, learn from these mistakes and iterate and keep on doing that.
Right.
And keep at it, and that's how we're going to grow.
I hear this a lot. People generally say if you're wanting to be an entrepreneur, you don't need an MBA. And here I see a contrarian thought. You wanted to be an employee, you went to ISB, but then you changed your opinion in the course. What is that made you take up entrepreneurship?
It is true that you don't need an MBA to be an entrepreneur.
Right.
No education is per se going to teach you how to run a business. Your experiences will teach you, and you get better with time.
You are in the retail side of the business, having store and location, rental, all of that. Was there any challenge that you have faced on the real estate front?
Many times. These things happen. They are very common. Sometimes by luck we get good places. Sometimes we don't. We need to act fast if we get a good place.
Right.
Book that place. Otherwise, it is going to go to somebody else.
So this bot thing is like an AI coming into the food business. Is that how?
AI not yet, but then yes, there is scope for AI to come into the food business here.
Why Momos?
Yeah, so I come from Northeast India.
Okay.
So in a small town called Silchar.
Okay.
And when I settled in Hyderabad, I saw the exposure to momos and dumplings were very poor. No brand per se selling momos and dim sums, and I saw that they were doing pretty good in terms of business. So I thought, why not create a brand around momos? So why not momos is what I thought. And of course, I love eating momos per se.
Hi friends, welcome back to PowerUp with Pradeep. Today on the show we have a fascinating story of a founder who took a simple street food and built a multi-store profitable business across South India. He is an engineer and a scientist by profession, but went to ISB and pursued his MBA. From there on, he has tried venturing into edutech and a SaaS product, and later on he built a multi-chain store, a profitable Momos business across South India. We are speaking of a Zomos founder who is Mr. Shouvik Dhar. Welcome Mr. Shouvik Dhar on the show. Thank you. Hi Shouvik, welcome to the podcast.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So Shouvik, I've read a lot about you on how you build Zomos and all, but I want to hear it from you directly and let the viewers also know on how you built the story behind Zomos, right? So let us start with when and where did you start? How did you start? If you can throw light about the start of the Zomos.
Sure. Zomos was my fourth venture.
Okay.
Before that, I had 3 ventures, and that were totally in different fields.
Okay.
So I am in fact a graduate engineer, an electronics engineer, graduated out of NIT Silchar in Assam, and from there I got placed in DRDO.
Okay.
I was a scientist in DRDO. I specialized in radar systems.
Oh,
Worked there for
interesting.
4.5 years. Then I decided, okay, I'll have to go for an MBA because that was what a lot of my peers were also doing.
Right.
I went to ISB for their 1-year MBA program. That was in 2008. And after an MBA, I have been an entrepreneur ever since. So I started with a counseling services company, a consulting company per se, called Think Admit. I used to help professionals get into tier 2B schools and MBA grad schools abroad. After that, I didn't see a lot of scalability in the business. It was a lot of, you know, very time consuming per se. So I moved out of the business, started as finishing school that was training graduates or students who were before they graduated
Sure.
and getting them placed in companies.
Okay.
I ran it for a couple of years, but I couldn't scale that business too. And then I, along with my co-founders, pivoted it to an education technology startup.
Sure.
So we developed a couple of SaaS products, and I saw some success in that. Made some money there, and with that money, I started Zomos back in the day. So it was, I think, 2016-17 is when I started Zomos, quite some time back.
Right.
And yes, that was how I kind of planned to start the business, because since it was a manufacturing business per se,
Right.
I ensured that I had some cash cushion to jump into a business of that sort.
So, you were manufacturing Zomos, or it was preparation on the kitchen?
It was a manufacturing setup,
Okay.
a small scale manufacturing setup. We always, from day one, in fact, we thought of kind of how to standardize processes at the back end, so that we kind of give out standardized products to the customer at the front end.
Sure.
So the bent of the business was that per se. I thought of doing that business because, you know, food businesses, they generally are considered to be cash flow positive business, and since I was putting in my own money, I wanted to be kind of in a safe space where I invested some X amount of money, made some money out of that.
Right.
Hence a small step towards a relatively higher capex business compared to my previous ones.
Right. But an engineer then going to ISB and starting Momos based product as
Momo
a business, right? How did your family react to this?
Oh, no, not very favorably, to be very frank. So I come from a family of doctors. Both my parents are doctors. My
Wow.
uncle is a doctor. My aunt is a doctor. Cousin is a doctor. My father-in-law is a doctor. So I am per se a black sheep in the family. But that's again. So there's one disappointment with my parents, that I wasn't a doctor.
Okay.
And then after an ISB degree or a diploma from ISB, I actually went on and started selling Momos. So this was a big shift for them also to kind of grasp that, you know, after studying so much, why is this guy, you know, selling Momos?
Right.
They were okay with the previous ventures per se, SaaS products and
Tech.
those things are kind of, they understand, but
Yeah.
then not selling Momos per se. But with time, they realized that it was something valuable that I was trying to build, and they supported me throughout the process. So
Okay.
I'm actually indebted to them to, with the fact that they helped me in scaling the business. Had it not been their support, I don't think I would be in a position where I am in right now.
Absolutely. Yeah, I get that. So, in fact, I'm also curious, Shouvik, why Momos? As in, you started a SaaS venture, we understand. You started a edutech, we understand. But Momos, why Momos?
Yeah, so I come from Northeast India.
Okay.
So in a small town called Silchar.
Okay.
In fact, my graduation was also from there, the NIT, as I mentioned earlier.
Silchar, NIT.
Momos and dumplings, dim sums were very popular, are very popular in fact there. They're like staple food there.
Got it.
And when I settled in Hyderabad, I saw the exposure to momos and dumplings were very poor. No brand per se selling momos and dim sums. I used to go to say Ratnadeep to buy buy groceries, Reliance Mart. There were certain momo thelas or small stalls outside there.
Unorganized.
And I saw that they were doing pretty good in terms of business. So I thought, why not create a brand around momos? Because I know the product, I know people who make good momos. I can bring cooks from my place, and then I can have, a small setup where you could make momos and brand that.
Got
So I
it.
thought it's a gap per se, and then the exposure was growing when I started. So why not momos is what I thought, and of course
Right.
I love eating momos per se.
Awesome, awesome. So, you said you immediately after ISB started business.
Yeah.
So, did you think of being an entrepreneur as the only thing that you want to do after MBA, or why didn't you take up a job after ISB?
Definitely not. Entrepreneurship was not my plan A, and this is what I, in fact, had in mind even before I joined ISB.
Okay.
I planned to have a plan B first. So the plan B was a job in the aerospace and defense sector, either in India or abroad, because I had a DRDO background.
Right.
In order to materialize plan B further, I wrote to certain aerospace and defense companies like Thales, Lockheed, Boeing. I shared my profile with them and told them, I'm going for an MBA. I want to join your company, and what are the roles that would be available to me.
Sure.
So with certain correspondences with them, replies, I actually went into my MBA interviews.
Got that.
So I had that plan B in the kitty, but then frankly, I did not have a plan A. I was very confused as to what I would want to do.
Okay.
And I thought that MBA would kind of open a lot of doors, would widen the exposure that I already had, prior to that. So plan A was not certain. At ISB, a lot of things changed. The exposure levels were great. I'm blessed to be part of the class that I was a part of. I came in contact with so many entrepreneurs, first-time entrepreneurs, people from family businesses, learned a lot about how people actually went into businesses, they succeeded, some failed.
Right.
A lot of learnings, a lot of exposure that actually changed or was gradually changing my point of view towards jumping into doing something on my own.
Got that.
The push came in when I enrolled for a course called Planning an Entrepreneurial Venture. There, my group, we kind of developed a modular speed breaker, and vehicles ply on top of the speed breakers. These speed breakers would generate and store energy, store electricity in batteries.
Right.
And that plan was, we built a business plan around that. We presented these plans in different B schools. It was a beautiful response that I got from that experience. And it was very captivating per se.
Right.
So I thought maybe I can start thinking of doing something on my own. I credit ISB and ISB only to kind of change my thought processes from maybe my plan B to a plan A, which was to kind of start something on my own. Yes, at ISB I did not know what I would start, but then I kind of started small and went on from one venture to the other, failed, and then learned something new, and then applied that in the other venture. That was how it all, it was not planned per se, for sure.
Okay. Okay. So, if I understand what you said, you were basically saying that you wanted to do job, and that's when you wrote to these Lockheed Martin or Boeing, all of these guys.
Yes.
But after joining ISB, you changed your opinion that you want to be on the entrepreneurship side.
True.
Is that how?
Yes, yes. In fact, since I was from that background, it would have been easier for me to go into these companies. So
Okay.
I thought that would be like a safe plan for me to have.
Understood.
And then later on at ISB, explore what would be best suited for me.
Right.
So yes, I mean, it changed, and it changed for the better, for good, in fact, is what I would say.
Yeah. So I hear this a lot. People generally say, if you're wanting to be an entrepreneur, you don't need an MBA. And here I see a contrarian thought. You wanted to be an employee, you went to ISB, but then you changed your opinion in the course. What is that made you take up entrepreneurship?
No, it is true that you don't need an MBA to be an entrepreneur.
Right.
And we have umpteen number of examples where people have actually made it big without going to a B school.
Right.
It's a personal thing, is what I'd say.
Sure.
And ISB education won't completely teach you how to, run a business. No education is per se going to teach you how to run a business.
Right.
Your experiences will teach you, and you get better with time.
Sure.
But for me, what ISB had done was kind of, widen that point of view, or increase the exposure to different things.
Got it.
And I would not have thought about jumping into entrepreneurship had it not been for ISB. For people who are already, sure about, yes, I'm going to go and start something on my own, yes, that part is not necessary for them at all. As far as learning the tricks of the trade in going ahead in entrepreneurship, that experience is the best teacher, not any B school.
Got it.
For
So
sure.
if you are planning to start something, go out there and start it. Don't think of MBA.
Yes, this is what I tell others as well.
Sure.
If you are planning to do something, just do it.
Got
Do it small, make mistakes, learn from these mistakes and iterate, and keep on doing that.
Right.
And keep at it, and that's how we're going to grow.
Got it. Got it. So let's come back to Zomos now.
Sure.
Yeah. So on the Zomos front, right? How many stores do you have right now?
We have 72 stores right now,
Okay.
and 3 franchisees. So we
Alright.
have all 72 stores which are all company owned. We have just started giving out franchisees,
Wow. 72 own.
and 3 franchisees.
Three
So
75 in
75 in total.
Which all cities?
They are mostly in Hyderabad, in Bangalore, Chennai, Pune, Mysore, Mangalore, these tier 2 cities. We have given franchisees in Raipur, another tier 2 city, Manipal, Udupi. So these are certain places that we have given franchisees in. We have seen great traction from tier 2 cities,
Awesome.
and we feel they are a gold mine. So in fact, our plan is to double down on tier 2 cities and expand in these places.
Great. So on the expansion side, I'll come a little later. I want to understand your starting journey, right? So largely right now, you're mostly based out of South, is how I understand
Yes,
most of your
yes.
stores, right? Now, how was your experience? What was your mindset when you started this first store? How did that happen?
ISB helped me to get my foot into the door.
Okay,
One.
interesting.
So the first counter was at Inorbit Mall here in Hyderabad.
Okay.
That counter is still there. It was an 8x8 counter. It still is an 8x8 counter.
Okay.
And yes, I went with our company profile to the Inorbit Mall management. They saw, okay, this is an ISB grad, so must be doing something interesting and valuable. So that was my foot into the door. But
Right.
definitely after that point onwards, your product, your business, your execution is going to talk, going to talk in fact. We started out of that 8x8 kiosk. Initially the rentals were about 40,000 odd. Now we are paying more than 2.5 lakhs for that space.
Whoa.
So that is how the rentals have grown. The business has also grown proportionately too.
Awesome.
Great experience. No words can, I would say, express how our first counter, when it was up, what I felt in my mind. It was a great feeling to see customers come and kind of ask for what products you have, and when they take the products and they eat them and they feel, oh, this is such a nice thing. This is a great feeling. I mean, nothing can beat that feeling.
Right.
Of course, a lot of things happened at the back end. We used to get up at 4 a.m. in the morning. Used to go to these vegetable markets. There are wholesale vegetable markets. Used to
Right.
get fresh produce from there. Gave those produce to our cooks. They used to make products. They used to everything used to get ready by 10 a.m. in the morning.
Right.
And I used to take, so my car was a delivery vehicle initially. So I used to take these momos from our central kitchen to our Inorbit Mall kiosk.
Okay.
And I used to stay in the kiosk for, I think, for the first 1.5 months, I was there at the counter.
Throughout.
So I used to be, talking. I was a stall staff. So
Acha.
there were 2 stall staff. I was one of them. I used to talk to the customers, ask for feedback, what they liked, what they did not like, and then the next day we used to work on that feedback.
Understood.
So it was a process per se for the first 1.5 months,
Right.
and was a great experience, although very tiring. But then initially I never felt that it was tiring, because I was very interested into seeing, okay, this is something that we made, and then this is how it is being consumed by the market.
Understood.
Very nice experience per
Understood.
se.
So to start this, you already had fund because you exited the earlier venture. Is that
Yes.
right understanding?
Correct, correct. I
Right.
exited one of my, so the edtech startup that I was talking about.
Right.
Sold it to one of the clients,
Mhm.
and used some of that money proceeds to start Zomoz back in the day.
Got it.
So that was how, had some, as I had mentioned earlier, had some cash cushion to kind of start and take a leap into something bigger, is what I
Right,
had
right.
thought.
So you were alone when you started.
Yes, that is
just-
something that, that was a problem. Later on, I realized that you need to have people to kind of share the workload.
Got it.
More than the workload, it has to be a process where if we are planning to build a business, we need to ensure that we have the right people on board too.
Got it.
There are certain things I'm good at, there are certain things I'm not good at. So essentially, for things that I'm not good at, I need to get people who are smarter than me, who are better than me in doing those things.
Right.
I mean, we get these things everywhere. Any startup founder is going to tell you the same thing. And unfortunately, the reason I'm saying that is because I had a few previous ventures, but still I learned this a little late, that I needed to have more people at the top in Zomos to kind of
Right.
scale it better.
Right. 6 months of the business, right? How did it go? Is it only single store or you had expanded also?
No, for the first 6 months, we had only that store at Inorbit Mall. That store started doing well from the second month onwards, and I was not expecting the sales to be as high as what it was during the initial months.
Right.
And something good happened. PVR approached us during
Okay.
that time. They told
Awesome.
us, we feel the products are good. Why won't you supply to all our PVR screens in Hyderabad?
Amazing.
And I was very happy. I said, yes, this is the way to, I won't need to put money in capex. I would rather kind of sell the products, and it's a good business.
Absolutely,
To supply
yeah.
to PVR for that, that's a
Right.
big name, right?
Right.
So I said, yes, why not? We'll do it.
Sure.
I had so in fact, we at Zomos had some problems with respect to the production, because it was just one store and we were still making handmade momos at that point in time. So I
Right.
told PVR that, I'd want to start with a couple of locations and then see how those go, and gradually we want to kind of roll it out to all your locations.
Got it.
They said, yeah, let's do it, and let's see how this pans out. The sales were great in those locations, and they said, now we need in all the locations, at least you have to do in now 12 locations in Hyderabad.
Okay.
And I had to say yes, because I was kind of pushing it a little further. I said, okay, we'll start doing it. But then 3 months down the line, we realized, oh, this was a bad decision. We just could not make the number of momos PVR wanted. And then I actually pressurized my employees, "Arey, aur momo banao. What are you doing? We need to make more. We have more orders." And then I saw attrition happening.
Okay. Elasticity.
Yeah. So there I realized, we need to plan these things properly.
Got it.
So I went to PVR and said, just give me some more time so that I can iron out these things. And they had lost sales, so they were also not very happy with what had happened.
Okay.
There, this realization happened that, this Momo business per se, it's not like other food businesses.
Right.
It is a very, very back-end heavy business.
Okay.
Back-end heavy, skilled labor dependent.
Right.
Right? For example, if I start a biryani business,
Yeah.
I have one biryani cook or chef, and I tell him, for today you need to make 10 kgs of biryani.
Right.
He can make 10 kgs of biryani, say for example, in an hour.
Yeah.
I tell him the next day, today you make 20 kgs of biryani.
Right.
He actually can make 20 kgs of biryani in an hour, or maybe in an hour or 10-15 minutes
Fair.
extra.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I tell a momo cook, today you are making 1000 momos, tomorrow you will have to make 2000 momos. He cannot make that. because Momo making is a very
Handmade.
Yes, it's a very back-end heavy and skill labor dependent thing,
Right.
and it's a linear process. Hence, that realization actually dawned in the first 6 months itself. Then I realized, oh, okay, in the market there is only one big Momo player, and there is no other pan-India Momo player.
Right.
Why is that the case? That's because people haven't been able to scale up, and that's because it's a very linear scaling with Momos.
Right.
So I took a step back and started thinking, okay, what can we do? Because this is a big problem. We can't scale that way. Don't have the money to, have skilled labor and then have my workforce increase initially itself.
Right.
For example, if I needed to have, so 1 lakh momos a day, I would need to have 250 skilled people making momos. A very difficult thing to manage 250 skilled people. So I thought, we'll have to automate. And even now, if you type Momo making machines on YouTube, you'll get a lot of hits. But believe me, none of those machines work. A lot of companies have imported machines and then tried. None of these machines generally work.
Right.
And we also face the same. We imported a couple of machines from China. These did not work. Luckily, my DRDO experience helped. I had a few of my colleagues over, and then we thought, how can we work on these machines so that we can make momos, better momos out of these.
Right.
So we took those machines apart, reverse engineered them, made new parts. Very interesting experience for about a year or so. And then we made machines that were making momos better than the ones made by hand.
Got it.
From that point onwards, I realized, okay, now this is a point where, that part, that bottleneck is actually going to go away, and now we can scale. Right now, today, we have a fully automated, 100% automated Momo making facility. We are in fact the first and the only, we were the first and the only 100% automated facility for a long time.
Wow.
And today, if I need to make 1 lakh momos, we would just need 12 semi-skilled people working at a Momo line.
Awesome.
That is what I felt. So that experience that I had in the first 6 months itself, that changed the way we look at the company and created a very strong moat for the next years as we were kind of scaling up this venture.
Fantastic, fantastic. That's a great learning. So you started small, and then you went into understanding the problem, you faced problems, and then that helped you automate and scale. So in the process of how much time did it take for you to sort of get this whole learning and automate the whole process?
So it took about 12 to 15 months.
Okay.
So we went back and forth with a lot of machining of parts. We needed to understand what should be the pressure that should be applied to the Momo skin, the wrapper, the dough. What should be the composition of the dough? How much gluten should be in the dough? The dough should be elastic, should not break.
Right.
So a lot of these learnings happened over a 12-month duration.
Right.
And after that, we kind of came up with a product, a machine that actually makes momos. So generally, these machines, if you bring Taiwanese or Korean or Chinese, even Japanese machines, you will see that the skin becomes very thick when you bring those, when you churn momos out of these machines.
Right.
There are ways or things that you need to do to ensure that they are better than the handmade ones.
Got it.
This is something that we had kind of worked on, and hence that formed the mode and the entire organizational ethos, right? So Zomos is built, is what I would like to believe, around innovation. So we believe we have cracked the back end. We have done something interesting in cracking the front end as well. So the entire experience, the value chain. So customers need to experience standardized products. A customer comes and has momos from our counter one day from one place and goes to some other place some other day, has a totally different experience. It's not what we want to. And of course, in any food business, no food business can grow. No brand can grow per se if we don't maintain that standardized taste and quality. And taking that from production through to the other parts of the value chain where somebody is serving the products to the customer, that also is something that we are in fact automating. So that's again something interesting we feel we are doing, but then of course we haven't rolled it out yet.
Awesome, awesome, interesting. Uh, so, from first store was it in Orbit Mall, and then you said you got order from PVR, right?
Yeah.
So the second outlet was in the PVR. Is that how it went?
No, no. So
So basically, what I'm trying to ask is, how much time did it take for you to start the second store after your first store?
I think from the 9th month onwards, I started the second store.
Okay.
Again, we were still not automated. So after complete automation, so after I would say a year or so, then I started the third store.
Okay.
So I was not confident of kind of putting my own money and having a good base of skilled employees making momos.
Right.
So I thought I'd rather fix this issue that I'm going to face later on and then kind of scale. So I had a couple of outlets and PVR supply for the first year and a half, and then I kind of opened more outlets. Most of them were in malls, some IT cafeteria that we kind of opened our small outlets in.
Right, right. So how do you decide the location when you sort of say, this is the location I want to open store? How do you decide? What do you look at? What parameters do you consider?
So now there are, I mean, a lot of data sources that we consider.
Sure.
We have data from Swiggy and Zomato.
Mm-hmm.
They tell us, if, say for example, I open in geography A, and this is the lat long of that place, what is the Momo consumption or the demand like in a 3 kilometer radius or 4 kilometer radius that we get from the aggregator portals. Our investors, they are also in food business, so we get a lot of data from them as well. What product categories work very well in that particular geography. This is with respect to how much this the brand will do in delivery.
Got it.
As far as retail sales is concerned, we have to do it ourselves. We have to go to those places. We have to, our people sit there during weekdays, during weekends. They check the footfall. They check the sales of counters nearby.
Right.
And then when we get an idea of, okay, this is, say for example, a Belgian waffle company doing X amount of sale there, we peg ourselves with against that brand, and then we say, okay, we can do something like that. So based on that, we take a call with respect to a retail location. So it's a longish process. Takes about, I would say, anywhere from 2 weeks to a 4-week duration, in fact, to kind of finalize a place to start.
Right.
We do this too hurriedly, then we are going to make mistakes, and we won't get sales, and this is a big problem. Location
Right.
is very, very important for food businesses.
Got it. Got it. Got it. So you mentioned Swiggy and Zomato data. Do these guys sell it, or as in how does it work?
No. They don't sell. We have POCs at Swiggy and Zomato. I mean, we work very closely with them. So the POCs tell us, these are the trends. This is how some other brands are also doing. Why don't you try these? Why don't you try marketing your brand like that? This is a new collateral. Why don't you kind of check it out and see?
Understood.
So that way we work closely with them, and then we ask them, we are planning to open in this place. What do you think, are the prospects of that place?
Got it.
And they do share.
These account managers manage multiple accounts like yours.
Yes.
So they have that knowledge of, okay, this location
They
works.
do. They do.
Okay.
They do.
Got it. So, Shouvik, there are a lot of these street vendors that you said. Zomos is available across different location, different vendor is there, right? The local players. How are you positioned in comparison to them? What is that difference? Why should a customer come to you?
So there is a very tacit thing in Momos, particularly in this category. Generally, customers do know, but they don't call it out.
Right.
Something called a filling to wrapper ratio.
What is that?
Filling to wrapper ratio.
Okay.
So Momo has a filling inside and a wrapper,
Right.
which is a dough, maida or something like that, right? So
Got that.
Generally, customers, when they have from street vendors, that ratio is very skewed. By skewed, I mean if you take a 30-gram Momo, it would be about 14 grams of filling and the remaining would be wrapper, or sometimes 15-15 or 16-14, other way around.
Right.
We try to have a very high filling to wrapper ratio.
Okay.
And although we don't say this is an internal metric, we don't tell the customer, we are the players with the biggest filling to wrapper ratio, they know. So in our 30 gram Momo, we have 22 grams of filling and the remaining is wrapper.
Okay.
Again, and we do that because we are automated.
Yeah.
That helps us maintain that very thin wrapper. It's a 0.7 mm thick wrapper that we have.
Okay.
So this is the first basic difference between Zomos and any other player. About the filling after that, right? So
Sure.
take away the filling to wrapper ratio, then the filling. We ensure that, this is something that all other big players also ensure, that our chicken momos don't have soya or other binders, no other powder or something of that sort,
Sure.
no additives. Our chicken momos have chicken.
Okay.
We have paneer momos that we make from, very fresh paneer from farms in Shevella.
Okay.
So we try to ensure that the products that we put in the filling are good products, and we don't compromise on that. Of course, we charge a little higher than street vendors for sure, but then there is that delta is because we put very genuine ingredients.
Quality.
So beyond these two, I think the third one, it applies more to other organized vendors also, the time to serve.
Okay.
So generally we have an SOP where we serve within 8 minutes. Customer comes, orders, and then within 8 minutes, a plate of momos, a plate of steamed momos especially, should go to the customer.
Got that.
I'm not saying that we are 100% on that. Sometimes we do make mistakes, we do delay when there are too many orders, then this might go for a toss.
Got it.
But then the SOP is built such that the time to order is very, very low, because
Right.
momos is a very impulse purchase item.
Okay.
The fourth thing I can think of is variety, different types of, again, this is something that other organized players also have, but then we play a lot around different types of filling. We develop different products, bows for example. We were the first QSR to have a category of bows made from the same machines that we make momos from.
Right.
But then different products, and customers actually keep coming back to the brand because they know that today we are going to get something different.
Right.
That itself is very important, I think, in QSR, because we need to increase that customer loyalty.
Right.
Generally, it is very, very difficult to hold on to a customer unless you are there in the market for a long, long time, and then customers know, oh, something like bigger brands like, say for example, Haldiram.
Right.
They know Haldiram is a, okay, I'll have the chaat and these things from Haldiram itself. That's a
Right.
brand to reckon.
Right.
For us, with time, these things will happen. So people will consider, they will think of momos as Zomoz momos. This is what the final goal is. But then yes, we are getting there.
Got it. Got it. Got it. So since you are in a market which is not, rather I would put it this way, each of these states are very different in terms of the palate, and momos is ideally more heavily consumed, as you said, in Silchar or northeast part of India. How do you attract people in these markets? Do you see that enough customers come to the store, or do you do any marketing to attract people?
No, we do market, but then we market mostly on the aggregator portals, Swiggy and
Okay.
Zomato.
Okay.
Other than that, we don't market outside.
Sure.
Generally, other brands do social media marketing. We don't do that much. But having said that, Hyderabad is, South India, the South Indian cities are Cosmo cities too. Hyderabad has a lot of people from North India.
Right.
Momos are very popular in North India. Delhi NCR is in fact the biggest consumer of momos in India.
Wow. Okay.
So there are people from North India here. There are people from all other places, right? So nowadays those boundaries are not that rigid.
Okay.
But having said that too, there are certain things that we need to do to the product to ensure that the local customers also
Yeah,
like
right.
these products. So
Right.
initially we had this issue of, this is a steamed momo. So customers don't know how something can be steamed. Oh, what do you have inside? Then we say it is chicken.
Okay.
So chicken is totally uncooked. How is it possible?
Right.
So we tell them, no, it's steamed chicken, it's very healthy.
Sure.
Gradually, that exposure level grew.
Right.
Certain tweaks we made with the product. So we made something like a KFC chicken out of the
Okay.
Momo. So we batter fried these Momos with our own recipe, something like KFC. They look like KFC chicken. That is a very big hit here, especially in Hyderabad,
Okay.
in Chennai also.
Okay.
Again, sauces tend to vary by geography. In Hyderabad, we still get that feedback that sauces are not spicy enough.
Okay.
So here everybody is a spice rock star. So
Right.
we keep putting spice in the sauces, but we still get that feedback from time and again. So we have separate sauces for Hyderabad and say a totally different sauce for Pune for that matter.
Okay.
So some tweaking do work,
Yeah.
but then we cannot grow a brand unless we localize that brand.
Got
so
that.
we had to make certain tweaks to Momos itself with the filling, with the way it is cooked to ensure that the local customers also like it.
Got it. Got it. So you definitely did customize basis the regional flavor of it.
We did very much.
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting. So tell us a thing on the customer feedback and reviews, because we spoke on the feedback on customization of it. There's definitely this feedback loop which also comes in, right? So where did you learn and how do you manage your customer feedbacks, and what are the sources that you collect feedback from?
Oh, we are very particular about customer feedback. Generally, we don't remember the good feedback, but then we do remember the bad ones.
Sure.
This is our negativity bias, I would say. We have people at CX, customer experience, who track customer reviews and feedback very, very closely.
Right.
Very good sources of feedback are Swiggy and Zomato reviews. Ratings, yes, and then reviews, what customers write. We get a lot of, so all the negative feedback that we get from the reviews, we try to work on them on a regular basis. We have weekly calls. So over the last week, we get data from these aggregator portals. Okay, these are the reviews, and we read each of these reviews. We have certain tools to kind of collate the info, and then we sit around a table and then we discuss. Okay, this is what the customer is facing. This had happened in that particular outlet. So what do we do to kind of rectify that?
Okay.
This is a very good, I would say, a gold mine in terms of feedback and review. We do collect reviews from our retail stores as well.
Sure.
Not that accurate per se, because again, I'd say Momos is an impulse purchase. Very few customers would come and kind of give a review. We kind of encourage them to rate us on Google and other platforms.
Right.
But then very few do. If the product was good, they liked it. They liked it and they would review. If they did not like it, then they would review. There are better chances of review.
Got it.
So reviews are a good way for us to kind of see where the product is or where the delivery is going wrong.
Right.
And yes, a lot of times, customers write to us, they email us as well.
Sure.
And we read those emails. So those emails actually get forwarded to me as well. I want to know what the customers are saying.
Oh.
And we have the CX team. They make it a point to call the customer, talk to that customer as to what might have gone wrong. If there's something that we could do, we kind of try to do that.
Right.
And solve any issues that would be there. This is very, very important. We feel ratings and reviews are very important for any food brand.
Got it.
That's a paramount importance for us to kind of see that reviews and ratings are being taken very, very
Right.
seriously.
Right.
And this is going to be there forever.
Got it.
Is what I feel.
Yeah. So, Shouvik, you are now 75 stores brand, right?
Yeah.
How did you scale? So, I want to understand what was the investment like when you initially started? How much did you invest in one store? And what was a typical one store investment? And how did you scale to this 75 stores? If I remove franchisee, 72 stores, what was it like? As in, I want to understand the investment. Was it a bootstrapped company, or have you ever taken any investment from the outside from an investor? If you can help us understand that.
Sure, sure. So
Yeah.
initially I was the investor. I ran, till COVID,
Okay.
and PAT positive. It was PAT positive till COVID.
Okay.
We had about 28 odd outlets pre-COVID, mostly in corporate locations, in malls. Generally, an outlet pre-COVID used to cost us about 5 lakhs odd. That was the capex.
One store, 5
Yes,
lakhs.
5 lakhs odd.
Okay.
The carpentry in the kiosk and equipment. So 2 Momo steamers, a couple of fryers, and an induction heater. Right. That's all that we had, and a
Got it.
freezer.
All right.
So everything used to come within a 5 lakh budget, and I put in money in the company. I grew it till that
Got
point.
it. Okay.
Then when COVID came, everything went for a toss.
Sure.
So initially I put money to I put about a 3 crores odd. So I put money in developing the backend,
Sure.
and then certain outlets. And I was okay running it as a profitable brand. We were growing the brand gradually in other geographies too.
Sure.
And when COVID came, everything closed down, corporate counters closed down, malls closed down. We had to face heavy losses.
Sure.
And yes, the company ran out of cash. I had to put in more money in the company. Very difficult times. We had to ensure that the employees are taken care of.
Right.
They had nowhere to go. Then I realized, had to hedge risks. Hence, I thought, it might be a good idea for me to take investment for this particular business, although I had not taken any investment in my previous businesses.
Sure.
When the first unlock happened, I saw Swiggy and Zomato sales were picking up.
Right.
We opened small cloud kitchens in Hyderabad. They started doing well. We were in touch with Rebel Foods at that point in time.
Sure.
The makers of Behrouz Biryani and
Right.
Oven Story, Fasos.
Right.
So these guys are the biggest cloud kitchen players in the world. So they told us, why not operate in a different city? You are only in Hyderabad. Check out a different city and see if the brand pull works or not.
Right.
We operated 3 cloud kitchens in Rebel Foods locations in Bangalore. That was in 2020, end 2020 or 2021.
Sure.
They started doing well. We kept on opening more outlets. And I think in 6 to 7 months, they decided to invest in us. So that was the first time I raised external capital, and that was in 2021.
And that was from
Rebel Foods
Okay.
was the one who invested in us. And after that, we kind of opened in more cities, more geographies. Most of them were through Rebel Cloud Kitchens itself.
Okay. So would you help us understand how does a single store profitability work out, right? You spoke about PAT, right? So if you can help us understand the unit metrics and break that down whole food costing and the profit after tax.
Got it.
Yeah.
Sure. So a unit outlet, like a single outlet, on an average, our retail outlets do about 5 lakhs a month.
Okay.
So it's about 15 to 20K a day. And in that retail outlet, if it's in a mall outlet, it's only retail sales. If it's in a high street location, we have Swiggy, Zomato sales also on top of that.
Okay.
Right. So this 5 lakhs gets divided between Swiggy, Zomato and counter sales. So half and half. Say for example, that's how
Online is 50% business.
Online was 50%, but right now it's about 60% odd that we are seeing. A lot of people have started ordering, more and more people have started ordering online as well.
Got it.
So, the food costs, so I'll break it down from sales and then gross margin, then contribution margin and the operating margin in an outlet.
Sure.
Food costs are at about 28 to 32%.
Got it.
And after that, we have marketing on Swiggy, Zomato platforms. We have the supply chain costs that we put after that. So we take out 10% from on marketing and say 4% from supply chain.
Right.
After that, we have our fixed costs. So fixed costs, the rentals are at about, if it's a mall location, it can be as high as 25%. Certain retail locations, they are about 15% in rental. Cloud kitchens are way low with respect to rentals.
Right.
So after everything is deducted, a retail outlet for us gives about 20% in operating margin. That's
Sure.
the profit for a
Right.
retail outlet.
Right.
Cloud kitchens are a totally different story because there is a Swiggy Zomato commission that comes in. So after food cost, before the contribution margin, we have Swiggy Zomato commissions.
Got it.
So Swiggy Zomato, they take a lot in terms of commission. So the profitability for a cloud kitchen differs a lot. So we generally, in an aged cloud kitchen, we make only about 8 to 12% in margins. So that's what the difference between a retail outlet and a cloud kitchen is. So our focus has always been pre-COVID do retail outlets.
Right.
Now we are actually doing more retail outlets because that's how we kind of grow the brand.
Right. 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 Most customers see, that's how people relate
True,
to the
true,
brand.
true. So we did, so during COVID, that was the need of the hour, right? Need of the year, in fact, 2020, 2021.
Yeah.
And till 2022, mid 2022, right? We
Right.
were, so there were no retail sales, so we had to do cloud kitchens, and Swiggy Zomato sales were good during that time.
Understood.
But now people have started coming out, they are ordering, of course, they are ordering, yes, but then they do go out and they do go to malls.
Okay.
So we feel that you know, a good mix of cloud to retail is the way to go in
Understood.
expanding.
Understood. Right. So I was having this conversation with one of my friend earlier, and we had this discussion of having a store out in the market versus a cloud kitchen, and there was a wave in between. A lot of people were getting inclined towards cloud kitchen. So if you can help us understand which model is better and why between cloud kitchen versus a retail store outside.
Yeah, so there is no better model per se. Certain categories are you know, conducive to cloud kitchens, certain are not.
Okay.
I mean, I don't want to get too technical into this, but say for example, a pizza chain, right?
Right.
Pizza is a high average order value item.
Okay.
Somebody orders a pizza, definitely will have to spend about 400 plus in that.
Okay.
Right? So if the order value itself is high, then the entire P&L stacks up much better.
Okay.
Compare pizza with South Indian food or momos or burgers for that matter.
Sure.
Right? The average order value is low. So South Indian food or dosa, you can have a dosa at less than 100. Right? If the product cost is product is priced at 100, and there is this Swiggy Zomato commission to go, and a lot of these things, and the employee cost, a lot of these things, you know, direct and indirect costs are there, the P&L doesn't stack up that well.
Okay.
So for certain categories like pizza, like cakes and desserts,
Sure.
right, where the average order value is high, cloud kitchens work very well.
Okay. So
for
if
for
I'm
those
planning
categories.
a pizza store or a cake store, you recommend cloud kitchen as a model that we can look at.
You can look at, but then it actually depends on what you want to do.
Okay.
If you don't want to, you know, spend a lot in interiors, don't want to spend a lot on capex, right?
Yeah.
Cloud kitchens don't need too much capex,
Right.
right? You can save on rentals as well. You can have a cloud kitchen on the first floor, but you cannot have a, I mean, given the category, you should not have generally a retail store on the first floor. A food outlet should be on the ground floor. You should be
Accessible.
visible from the main road itself.
Right.
So there are a lot of requirements for a retail outlet. If you get a good retail space, it would do great. If the retail space is not great, then it will not do well.
Okay.
For a cloud kitchen, those criteria are actually not, you know, they need not be considered.
Got it.
For a cloud kitchen, you can kind of open in a first floor, don't need to spend too much on capex. So there are
Right.
advantages to cloud kitchens too. Again, the category matters. So I would not want to open a South Indian food cloud kitchen, definitely not.
Right.
But then definitely if somebody asked me, should I open a pizza cloud kitchen? I said, yes, you can. I would say,
Okay.
yes, you do.
Per se, my favorite is biryani. If in case I am looking at opening a biryani store, right? A typical biryani and couple of starters. If that's the model that I want to go get into, is cloud kitchen a good model to
Yes,
enter?
yes. Biryani, again, the AOV for biryanis is high.
Okay.
Not as high as pizza, but then definitely the biryani P&L stacks very well in cloud kitchens. You can have there are a lot of very successful cloud biryani brands. So biryanis can definitely work.
What are those brands? Maybe if you
No,
can share.
Biryani by Kilo is one brand that I can think of.
Okay.
Biryani Blues, Rebels, Behrooz Biryani.
Right. Right.
Huge. I mean, they're doing upwards of 300 CR from that brand itself. It's a
Whoa.
completely cloud brand.
Awesome.
So definitely yes, biryani is in fact that's the biggest category for cloud kitchens.
Yeah, biryani is a word that India loves.
Yes, yes, true,
across
true.
geography.
Most ordered item.
Yeah, yeah. So coming back to Zomos, I want to understand. You spoke about automation and all. I'm sure you would have had a different product other than Momo also, right? Was there a scenario where you launched a product and the product was not a hit? And how did you decide on continuing that or closing that?
Oh yes, in fact, I took automation too far sometimes.
Okay. Okay.
That's one of the downsides as well. So we need to have a balance.
Sure.
There were many products that did not work.
Uh-huh.
One of them I remember very vividly was, I made a Manchurian ball.
Okay.
Right. So the same machines, same extruders, and then I developed a crankshaft-based mechanism that
Okay.
would actually make a very round and rotund Manchurian ball.
Uh-huh.
I was very excited about that. Oh, this is also something that
I love
we
Manchurian.
kind of automated.
Right.
But unfortunately, customers did not like that Manchurian ball. Reason being for that ball to, the reason we made that ball to be a very round and very crisp sphere, we had to use certain things like we had to use potato, some other things to bind that particular ball.
Sure.
Generally, Manchurian balls are airy.
Right.
I actually loved that product, and I was very sure that this is something that customers will love as well, but they did not.
Okay.
So with a heavy heart, I had to say, okay, theek hai. So this innovation did not actually work.
Sure.
So there are other stupid things that we did, like blue momos. So we had these are all natural colors that we use. So
Okay.
I came up with a very light blue color momo. I said, oh, it looks so nice. But then customers were totally, they're abhorrent with this particular. They said, what is this color? Why is a momo blue? Very, I would say, stupid mistakes that we had kind of made,
Okay.
but also learned through the process.
Alright.
Right now, I don't. So we come up with newer items, but generally, I don't rely on my taste as well, because I think whatever I like, customers don't like. So I have other people taste that.
Okay.
As far as automation is concerned, there should be a balance between how much to automate and how much to just leave it.
Right. Right.
So yeah, so a lot of things we learned during the process.
So this is on the product failure side. I want to understand, was there a day where you had, was there a day which was very terrible and you felt very, very bad? What am I doing and why am I doing this? Is there any scenario like that, being an entrepreneur?
Oh yes, yes. There are. I mean, not so long ago. So it happened in one of my stalls, right?
Okay.
In a mall, that too. Very unfortunate. One of my employees, he jumped from the 4th floor or the third or the 4th floor.
Whoa.
Committed suicide. It was a real shock because just an hour before that, our supervisor, he had actually spoken to that person. It was totally fine.
Yeah.
And it was, as I'd said, it was a big shock, and I got a call late at night. This had happened, and this is a big case. The mall team were looking for, okay, who are the owners of this company?
Okay.
Had to go to the police station, had to sit with the police. Later on, we found out that this was a personal reason, but then still, there were a lot of allegations towards the company, because
Okay.
anything that happens during an employee is working at your premises,
Right.
this is actually an onus that the company has to take.
Right.
I was kind of thinking, what was I doing? I mean, this is, I felt, why am I so unlucky?
Right.
The first thing that came into mind, right? Why this?
Right.
But then I just, in a few minutes, I realized, think about that boy who committed suicide.
Yeah.
A lot of things must be going through his head.
Yeah.
Let me not think about my problems. Let's see what can be done. So we reached out to his parents, very old parents, and we told them, you have to come and take the body. They were not in a position to do that. They were from some remote village. They said, we have no means to come there. So we decided, we have to do everything that needs to be done. We kind of rolled up our sleeves. That is how, employees also see how the management reacts to these things. So we had to show that we were kind of cognizant of what had happened. We wanted to do right by the employee and his parents.
Right.
We did everything. Went to the police, sorted things out. We went to the morgue. I signed up as the guardian of that boy.
Okay.
And we ensured that we transport the body by air from the city to their local village.
Got it.
So, I mean, the entire process was very, very draining. Not only me, our supervisors, our managers. I have to, hats off to them as well, because they had stayed, nights, and there was a huge, I would say, pressure on all of us. And we also needed to ensure that, nothing untoward happens, because you don't know how things can be perceived. If something, some kind of blame comes onto the company as well. So we needed to ensure that, we did our part. We did right by the employee and the employee's parents, and that was it. But then it was this happened not a few years back. It was a real tester for us. But yeah, so I think part and parcel of business.
Right.
We have to take everything in our stride. Often we realize, we think, why we are doing this. We did not sign up for this. But we need to understand that there are highs and lows in a business.
Right.
We get good news also. We have to deal with bad news too.
Right.
So it's part and parcel of the business. There's no other way to kind of seeing it.
Yeah, and I appreciate the initiative that you took. In fact, I was able to relate the Tata scenario, the way they come out to help their employees, right? So when you were telling the way you help the old parents, get the body by air, not everybody, not all the owners do that, is what I think. Good that you took that initiative.
No, really. So it was our responsibility. When my parents also told me, you should ensure that everything, this boy gets a proper send off. His parents should actually have his body.
Right.
These things are very important, and that should be taken care of.
Team.
It's hats off to my team. In fact, of course, I had to be there because the police would, who is the owner? Police would call, and I had to go. So these things are there, but then, it is good that the team stood by me, and we did something. I feel we did right by the parents and that boy.
Great. So usually I see a lot of real estate challenges also when you are in the retail side of the business, having store and location, rental, all of that. Was there any challenge that you have faced on the real estate front? You got the premises, or you were trying to get a premise and you didn't get it, while the owner said yes initially, you were planning it and then they took a step back. Anything of that sort happened?
Many times. These things happen. They are very common.
Okay.
But that's all there is to it. In fact, sometimes by luck we get good places. Sometimes we don't. We need to act fast if we get a good place.
Right.
Book that place. Otherwise, it is going to go to somebody else.
Right.
That's part and parcel in the food retail business.
Right.
I still feel India is very nascent with respect to QSR chains.
Sure.
We are a QSR chain. Chinese QSR chains have 1,000+ restaurants. I mean, that's a huge scale per se.
Right.
Many Chinese QSR chains are 1,000 plus.
Right.
Domino's is Domino's has about 2,000 odd restaurants in India.
Only in India.
That's, I think that's the biggest in terms of scale.
Okay.
No other restaurant chain or anybody, I'm talking about retail outlets,
Sure.
not cloud kitchens or something of that sort.
Sure.
We are still a long way to go because retail space is very limited, still limited in India is what I feel in tier 1 cities. There are certain places, certain pockets that do very well, and we need to get space in those pockets itself, otherwise we won't get sales. So these problems are still there, but then gradually things are getting better. Gradually,
Right.
Consumption is growing.
Right.
So with that growth in consumption, we believe this is going to fall, percolate there as well. So we'll
Right.
have more people coming and eating out.
Right.
More locations would be open to the taking, and these things are going to happen. But then, even now, right now at this point in time, it is still very, very nascent.
Got it. Also, I heard a scenario which happened, or usually because of competition or whatever, right? Sometimes landowner sees, okay, this guy has this store and it is doing well. Let me take this place over and start my own brand. Anything of that sort happened with you?
No, not with us, but then this happens, not brand per se. So generally, this happened with us. Something different though.
Okay.
The landowners saw that we were doing very well,
Mm-hmm.
and then irrespective of what we had signed in the rental agreement, he increased the rent. He doubled the rent per se,
Okay.
because he knew that these guys are doing well.
Yeah.
So we pushed back, saying that no, see, in the agreement it's just a 10%
Right.
rent increment the next year.
Yeah.
Double the rent is something that we can't pay.
Okay.
But then he was insistent on that. So
Okay.
generally you get cases like that.
Right.
We had taken a call to go out and look for some
You
other
changed
place.
the premises
Yes,
there.
we did change the premise.
Okay. Got it.
But then yes, these things happen.
Yeah, yeah. On the hiring side, F&B, I keep hearing it's a if we speak about the biggest problem in F&B as a whole, people usually say it's people, and managing people is where the challenge is. How do you manage
Yes,
that?
yes, very true. The biggest problem, even McDonald's, KFC, Starbucks, Jubilant, all of them will agree that the biggest problem in F&B is, managing blue collar workers.
Okay.
Especially blue collar workers. Somebody gets a salary which is 1,000 rupee more, then that person might just go. Leave.
Right, right.
That is, we have also faced these issues, and we have our own ways of dealing, kind of trying to retain the employees. Generally, we hire through referrals. So somebody who has worked with us for some time, we tell them that you bring somebody from your village.
Right.
We will give you some X amount, some percentage of his salary.
As
It's
a
like a referral
referral
bonus that we
bonus,
give. This is the only thing that has worked well for us. These job portals for blue collar hiring hadn't worked. But yes, so once these employees are onboarded, there are certain things other than money also that need to be taken care of.
Like?
For example, in Bangalore, we ensure that these employees have a place to stay.
Okay.
Their food and lodging, all these things are taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
If you have employees from outside, so generally most of our employees are not localites, we need to ensure that they are comfortable where they are staying. They don't have problems in their breakfast, lunch and dinner.
Okay.
They don't need to go and make, so all the work that they do in the outlet, and then they are given food.
Got it.
Right, so if you ensure that happens, then the employee retention goes up, is what we have seen.
Got it.
So we try to kind of have that built in as well. So whoever comes in, we tell them that we are going to take care of your food and stay. All you need to do is walk from your place to the outlet, do your duty and come back.
Got it.
This is as easy we have tried to make for the employees, Not for all locations per se, it's not practically
Right.
possible for all locations, but for most of these locations we have seen, once we do that, the retention actually goes up.
Got it. Hiring, I think you usually use the referral way is what you're saying.
Correct.
Is there a platform that you use otherwise? Referral I understand, but otherwise, because why am I asking this is from an opportunity standpoint. Is there a platform which helps you get the blue collar employees, or if there is no platform, then that's a huge opportunity somebody can tap into?
No, there are platforms.
Okay.
Baba Jobs, Apna Jobs. So there are a lot of these platforms where we can hire blue collar workforce.
Okay.
But it is difficult. I mean, in this space that we have seen, the most efficient approach is referrals of these employees that we already have.
Okay.
That's because it is difficult for a blue collar employee to trust. There is a trust deficit that
Sure.
that's there, right? If somebody who is working in the company tells the other person that I am working there,
Right.
and it's a good company to work in,
Yeah.
it is easier to get that employee.
Got it.
So that is how we have kind of tried to ensure that we are able to hire employees and hire them fast. But then
Sure.
I'm going to say that we are not there yet. We still struggle, and we will keep on struggling. I mean,
Right.
there is no panacea to any of these things.
Right.
This is part and parcel of F&B. We are trying to do something with respect to innovation and automation, but then this is too kind of, we haven't rolled that out yet,
Okay.
but then very excited about what happens once this is out in the market.
Why don't you share more about it, if that's okay with you?
Yes, we can.
So when you said innovation, it's again on the lines of automation, or it is something else?
It is on the lines of automation. We have, in fact, patented a product that can be cooked by a bot and given to the customer.
Bot cooking.
A bot, yes. So it's like a, picture it as a box, a 5 foot tall and a 4 foot wide box. There is a big screen.
Right.
It's like a vending machine. Right? Customer comes and
Okay.
then orders the products.
Sure.
Whatever, say I want a plate of paneer momos.
Right.
He or she orders and then pays via UPI, and in a minute the product comes out. So it's like a hot food vending machine, but for momos and dumplings.
Wow.
Generally, momos, I mean, there is
Interesting.
no brand or no company that has done that.
Right.
We have been able to do that. We have patented this as well last year.
Awesome.
We are, going out in the market with that bot. So
Wow.
that ensures that, the dependence on the, employees at the front, at the
Right.
store,
Right.
is actually minimized totally. So one, customer comes, the experience is very seamless. Orders and then gets a plate and then goes
Yeah,
within
yeah.
a minute.
Yeah.
And within a minute is a very interesting thing.
And I think this also addresses your blue collar job hiring issue.
To an extent,
Retention.
yes. But then this is just going to be a supplementary channel.
Okay.
We will have to open QSR outlets.
Sure.
That's our primary channel. But we feel if these bots are actually picking up, we can have, if somebody asks me, how many bots can you kind of roll out?
Yeah.
I can tell that person then in 6 months we can have 1,000 bots.
Wow.
Because, I mean, there is no problem in terms of rolling out these machines.
Sure.
But yes, there needs to be a trial, pilot, all these things need to happen. But this is something that we are very excited about, what happens. We have figured out to an extent the back end.
Right.
Now we are trying to figure out the front end. But then this is not an answer to, blue collar employee hiring. We
Right.
still will have to have, outlets, QSR outlets. Somebody has to be the front man or front woman for Zomos. That blue collar worker is a face of Zomos, right? So
Right.
we always will need to work on that. But then yes, there is a way which is a hyper scalable way to kind of do
Right.
that.
This kind of model works, I think, in mall, or it might also work in a corporate cafeteria of sort.
Yes, more so in co-working spaces.
Okay.
Not so much in malls, but airports may be a good place for
Okay.
wherever vending machines are there, right?
Sure.
IT cafeterias also, where generally a smaller cafeteria where
Yeah.
um, there are a lot of IT companies that work 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
So after 10 or 11 o'clock, there is no food.
Right.
So we'll have a bot. We don't need anybody else, right? So customer can come and order and have the products and go.
Interesting.
This is something that we feel, is going to be a new channel, and of course, will be scalable. And we don't need to worry about, employee half cooking or, under steaming or over steaming.
Right.
Sometimes we, once we had a very, an experience where I was just sitting at the side of a stall, and a customer came up, and
Yeah.
couple of our employees, they were packing Swiggy and Zomato orders.
Sure.
So the customer asked for, kya kya hai batao.
Right.
So this guy, the one at the outlet, he said, sir, now we are busy packing orders. Can you come after 10 minutes?
Oh.
So I saw that this guy was prioritizing Swiggy Zomato orders over a retail customer that has come to the outlet. That customer will never come to a Zomo's kiosk ever, right? So there I've lost a customer.
Right.
So these things are there.
Right.
We keep trying to ensure that the experience is seamless. To an extent, I think these bots are going to be, to an extent, relatively a solution for this not to happen.
Got that.
Right? But then the bigger scheme of things, we will have to have QSR outlets. We'll have to train people to talk to customers and ensure that, these things don't happen.
Got it. So this bot thing is like an AI coming into the food business. Is that how should I consider?
Not AI, not yet. But then yes, there is scope for AI to come into the food business here.
Interesting.
We can do a lot of things here. So so we can interact with the customer with respect to what kind of products customer likes, or ask the customer to enter info, get customer data. A lot of these things can happen. But then too early for AI to come in. First, we need to ensure that this model works, and then we can have some intelligence build around that.
Got it. Got it. So Shouvik, you spoke about expansion and going across India, going global. Are you planning to do it by yourself, or you are looking at raising funds?
No, definitely by raising funds.
Okay.
I don't have so much money to do it myself.
Right.
We are in fact closing a round now. So the plan is to kind of expand our retail footprint across the cities that we are present in, tier 2 cities.
Sure.
The bot pilot that we are very excited about, other models per se. So we are planning to do all those things. We are going to go into FMCG as well. Quick commerce is one channel that we are looking at, especially with our patented products that can be cooked in a minute.
Right.
We feel these products can go very well there. So expansion across different channels is what we are seeing with this expansion. And yes, I mean, it's all external capital that's going to come in and fuel the growth for Zomoz.
Awesome.
In the next couple of years.
Okay. So how do you approach investors in that sense?
Our first and our biggest investor right now, Rebel, we have actually worked with them for about 8 to 9 months before we had any discussion with respect to investment. I feel that was the best way to kind of go about it. I never went out in the market and looked for investors before that.
Okay.
Rebel was a natural ally, and we learned a lot from them. Having the right investors also matter a lot. Then we gradually, so this investor circle is relatively very small. I mean, there are just a few VCs, there are angel groups, and then we get to know people, and we kind of reach out to them. They reach out to us also.
Okay.
And that's how a connection happens. And then if certain investor or certain groups, they like the business, like what we are doing, then we take that discussion forward. So that's how it has been for us, with respect to the fundraising that we kind of do.
Understood. Understood. You said you're largely a company-owned outlet and only 3 franchisees.
Yeah.
Why only 3 franchisees? Why so many company-owned outlets? People go big on franchising. So if we can understand your philosophy behind why so many company owned? Why not franchising?
Yeah, so we've taken a leaf out of a lot of these food players, right? The Indian food players per se. And again, our interaction with VCs gave us this feeling that franchising is not the go-to way to scale the business, at least initially.
Okay.
Because initially we are still trying to figure out product market fit. We're still trying to see what kind of positioning the brand should kind of show to customers.
Right.
During that time, we should not kind of try to franchise the brand, and franchises generally they don't run the way that the brand or we would run an outlet.
Okay.
Right. So we hadn't thought of franchising initially. So we did all the 72 outlets ourselves, but then gradually we realized, I mean, we knew that first up itself that it is a franchisable brand.
Right.
Right, because everything that we sell, we make it in our central facility, and then we send to all the other outlets. So 80% of the work happens in a central facility, and then 20% of the work being steaming or frying or tossing the products and selling happen at the outlet.
Right.
So we have fair bit of control in actually ensuring that the brand experience doesn't go for a toss.
Right.
Hence, we thought, let's now try out franchising and see whether it works or not. Till now, I mean, it's just 3 franchisees. All the 3 are doing well, and they're happy. All of them are, in fact, in tier 2 cities, but they're doing well. So they know, there's not much. An employee can't screw up, say, a fried momo or a steamed momo. The SOP is you take the products and then you kind of steam them for 5 minutes and give it out to the customer.
Right.
You can't make mistakes. So all these steamers, they're all timed and all these things happen.
Sure.
So the franchisee owners also have seen that it's a very standardized model where not too much of problems happen. It's not chef dependent, so we don't need skilled manpower kind of working at the outlets.
Okay.
Anybody, any unskilled person can work at the outlets.
Got it.
So we have found that it's, I mean, we knew that before itself, but then we have seen from these experiences that it is a franchisable brand, and we would want to franchise the brand. Small format outlets, mostly say in tier 2 cities, we would want to franchise the bots as well, because that is something that anybody would want, is
That's
what I feel, right?
Yeah.
Say if we've come across a lot of questions from potential franchisee partners. We say, I don't have too much time. I know food business is something that you need to put your head in every day. I can put in some money.
Right.
What can be a model where I'll put in money and then can you work? So if you have a bot and I ask that person, do you have a place where relatively decent footfall happen, and then we can put a bot there. You don't need to do anything. We will have a bot. Customers will come, they will order, they will go. We will replenish the products there in the bot itself.
Right.
So you don't need to do anything. You just need to tell us where you can put this thing.
Right.
And that's it. So we don't need to worry about, is the franchisee partner preparing the products well? What about wastage? This is a problem also. So all these things we can just not think about.
Interesting.
This is something that we feel can do well in franchising. We're trying out certain other things as well with respect to some CSR initiatives where a self-help group has kind of decided to take our Momo stall. We have put that Momo stall in an electric vehicle. It's a 5x3 electric vehicle chassis. Where we put a Momo stall, a couple of steamers, a couple of fryers, and an SHG is kind of, they are taking a loan from the bank and they are going to sell Momos from that.
Like a food truck?
It is a food truck and electric vehicle.
Okay.
We haven't done that per se. So we are figuring out if this can be a way to kind of, franchisee brand, because there's the same product. It's like, I would say an ice cream also, right? You can take an ice cream and then sell anywhere. You can take Momos also, fry, steam and sell.
Right.
So this is something we think can work as well.
Awesome.
So yes, very interested in how the franchising angle works with time.
So you are now, as in looking at franchising also in the future?
We are.
Got
So we have seen these 3 doing well. we are open to franchising. We are actually seeing where we can kind of, what locations we think should do well.
Right.
Largely tier 2 cities, actually they do very well,
Right.
is what we have seen.
Right.
So we'd be very gung-ho about giving franchises in tier 2 cities.
Awesome.
About the other models, still some time, maybe 3 to 6 month time for us to
Right.
come up with a model where we can franchise these boards. The food truck kind of a, it's not a food truck per se. It takes less than, it would cost somebody about 3 to 4 lakhs odd for
Right.
that vehicle. Food trucks generally cost upwards of 10 to 15 lakhs odd, right?
Right.
So this is a smaller vehicle because it's a Momo stall.
Understood.
We try to keep it below 5 lakhs and we are trying to figure it out. So we are trying it out with one group and then seeing how it works.
Interesting. How do you solve this supply chain when you basically are across multiple geography locations, right? How do you solve the supply chain?
Yeah, so supply chain was very broken in India a few years back, but then now it's much better. So we have third party partners, first mile, storage, last mile also.
Okay.
Quite reliable. So we are very happy with respect to how the supply chain has panned out. Now we don't have any issues in if somebody comes and says, okay, I need a franchisee in say Leh Ladakh. We can give a franchisee in Leh Ladakh as well.
Really?
Yes. So that is how we figured out the supply chain too. It is not as broken as it was, I would say, even 3 to 4 years back, especially the cold chain logistics.
Right.
Right now, it's a lot more reliable and
Awesome.
can be done.
Awesome. Great. So I think we're coming to the end of the podcast. I want to understand what is one myth people have in this food business?
Okay, if I think of one myth, the biggest myth that people have in the food business is that great products sell very well.
Okay.
Great products can make great brands. This is not always the case. Initially, I was very proud about the fact that we are making the best momos, so they are going to be the best ones, and customers are going to love the products, and it's relatively easier to kind of create a brand around very good products. But there are a lot of other things to go with. We need to have the pricing right. We need to ensure where we are selling them, the portion size, what kind of customers we are selling these products to. That fit has to come into place to ensure that you create a brand.
Right.
So a brand, unlike what I had initially thought, a brand is not only a great product, but it's a combination of a lot of other things. Great product, great pricing, portion size, what kind of customer, what's the value proposition we are giving to customers.
Right.
I think that's the biggest myth in a food business, that all the great product always does the best. That's not the case.
Awesome. So let's say I'm sure you are in F&B business. A lot of people you must be seeing starting F&B business, right? What is that one mistake you think people doing often in the F&B business?
I would say they would scale too fast without ensuring there is a proper product market fit. If your unit economics are not good, I would suggest not to scale fast. So first get the unit economics right. First get the model right.
Right.
What should be, how much space do you need? So if you should not take, say if you are working in a 200 square feet place, you should not go ahead and take a 1000 square feet place, right? And have a lot of seating, and so that's not the model. First the model should be right, then it should be like a cookie cutter scale, right? Scaling up should be easier that way. Otherwise, we are going to go back and forth. Oh, this model is working. Oh, this one is not. Okay, let us try something else. We have to do all these things and finalize the model and then scale. What a lot of F&B entrepreneurs, not only F&B, a lot of entrepreneurs, I feel they make this mistake. Although I am not the guru in kind of professing what should be done, what not. But I have seen a lot of my peers, friends who have started food businesses to kind of scale too fast, and then later on, oh, this was something that was not working. I should not have done that. you have to go back and redo a lot of things then.
Sure.
So having a product market fit is very important before we actually put our foot on the pedal.
Got it. So I think if you were to start Zomos again, what would you do different?
Oh, there's one thing I would hire early, hire good people early, people at the top. So
Okay.
not blue collar workers. I'm talking about people who are, I'd say better than me in a lot
Sure.
of. I had mentioned that earlier as well. There are certain things I'm good at, certain things I'm not good at. I'd get people who are smarter than me who are actually doing those things better.
Right.
I did the mistake of not creating a good team at the top early on.
Sure.
This is something that I would like to change. That mentality that I have to do everything, I am the lone action hero, that these things don't work. This is a team game. You have to have a team in a business. If you have to scale the business, if you think of scaling it and growing it.
Right.
So this one mistake is something that I'd want to go back and correct.
Got it.
Getting good people on board. A lot of these problems that I have faced would be smoother through the journey.
Understood. Understood. So, someone listening to this podcast, right, if they are wanting to start a food business, right, what is your advice for them?
In fact, right now you can start a food business. It's easier. The entry barriers are low. You have Swiggy, Zomato. So I would suggest, fix up a model, start it, go ahead and do it. You'll make mistakes initially, learn from those mistakes, iterate, and then go back and follow and go through the whole process again and again until you find a product market fit, and then you start scaling.
Right.
So in a food business, it is relatively easier because you have these aggregator portals. You don't need to kind of spend too much on getting a big place first up. You can start small based on how much you want to spend, and
Right.
then make mistakes and learn from these mistakes, and then implement and go back, iterate. If you are thinking of doing it, just do it. I mean, you don't need to think of doing it and then think about the fact that it would have been great if I could have started something like that. Instead of thinking of it, just do it, and then you will get a lot of feedback. You will get to know a lot of things about this business. You will get to know a lot of things that work, that don't work.
Right.
And then the next time that you start doing it, iterate, it gets better. So just start, take baby steps, start, and then you will get to know how things pan out.
Got that. Got that. What is success for Shouvik?
It's a lot of things. So success in what terms would you? So do you mean success in life, success in business,
in general? In general.
Okay, in general. So I would say having sound mental health and physical health is the most important thing for me right now.
Okay.
And this is something that I kind of realized over time. As we grow older, hopefully I grew wiser as well. Initially, in business, because I have been in this field, and I've been an entrepreneur for quite some time. I have seen successes, I've seen failures as well. I've seen there are times when I've kind of ran after money.
Right.
I've run after money, and then the money ran before me, and it never happened that way.
Right.
So you need to have your priorities straight. It's not that I don't want money. Of course, you do business, and it's not a non-profit game anyway.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you need to realize that there are other things. You have to have a balance of everything around.
Got that.
Mental and physical health are the most important things.
Sure.
That I prioritize above everything else.
Sure.
I like what I do, so you should, more than making money, and money is going to come. I mean, it's going to be a byproduct of what you are planning for yourself.
Right.
But then, if you like what you do, like for me, I like the automation stuff that I'm doing. This is something that's very natural to me.
Okay.
And I love doing that in Zomoz.
Sure.
So if you love something that you do, and then you have a balance in your life where you are in a right mental state, physically you are active, that is all that you need, right? Money and all the other things, fame, success, these things will follow.
Right.
Is
So-
what I think. I mean, I kept rambling on, but then.
So, what I understood from your point was that mental and physical health were the priority for you, and then do what you love,
Yeah.
and start making money from what you love. If I have to summarize it in a simple term, is my understanding right?
Yes, yes, correct. So sometimes you might not know what you love.
Right.
You need to, do
Experiment.
again, iterate and see what is something that is clicking.
Sure.
And then based on that, because you are going to have to, whatever you do, right, your profession is going to be there for a long, long time. So
Yeah.
rather enjoy it. Easier said than done. I'm sure it's not as easy.
Yeah.
Again, it took a lot of time for me. There were a lot of lows. I was thinking, what I am doing, it's not worth it. There are lows, there are going to be highs and lows anyway throughout life.
Right.
So I feel having a balanced approach is the best way to go about it.
Thank you, Shouvik, for coming on the show and sharing all the knowledge.
Thank you so much for having me.